What's up? I have been threatening for a while to do the FlashTuned ECU software breakdown, the program that I've been using to flash my ECU on my 2009 Yamaha R1. And so today I'm finally going to do it. I'm going to try and go into detail as much as I can for you guys on the software itself, so you have a really good understanding of what it does and how it can help you. So let's get right into it. First off, I want to talk about the program itself. You can download it off of the FlashTuned website, and I'll put a link in the description so you can easily find it. And then once you download it, if you go up to, you'll have to make an account, and the software itself is free. However, and you can look at it once you've downloaded it. You can look at all the maps and all that, but in order for you to utilize the software, you either have to get a bike side harness for your particular bike, or you need to get the PC desktop harness, which will allow you to take the ECU off the bike and bring it over to your PC and flash it that way. I have a laptop, and it just is a big hassle to take it off to take my ECU off my bike. So I got the bike side harness. I wired the harness to my bike, and it makes it a breeze. I could literally flash my ECU in about 3 minutes from start to finish. So if you have a laptop and your internet can reach out to wherever you use your bike or wherever you park your bike. And the reason why I bring up the internet is because it's an internet connected software. So when you log on to your account, it checks for updates with the internet. So it doesn't work unless you have the internet. Now if you're going to use it trackside, which I would be using it because I have a laptop and then I have a cell phone, I would just use my cell phone as my internet at the track, provided that the track had a good cell phone connection. So anyway, that was the route I went, the bike side harness, and it has made it a breeze. So once you download the software, you go up into, and you've made yourself an account to access all of the files. And if you can see, I don't normally have mouse tails or whatever you call these things, but I did it so you guys could see it. But once you download the software, in order to access the images, you would go up there to File Manager, and then this window pops up. And in this window are all of the third-party images that you can use. Graves has Yamaha and Kawasaki. Some of these other racing companies have some. Some of these Graves, they're racing images. You have to pay some type of money for it. But you also have the stock images that come with the FlashTuned software, and also the unrestricted images that come with it for the bikes that you can see here: Honda, Kawasaki, Suzuki, and Yamaha. And then you also have user files. Now these user files are files that have been downloaded from users that are actively using the software. Now you use these at your own risk, and it says it when you go to download something, one of these, it basically says you're using it at your own risk. But at least for the Yamahas, my year 2009 Yamaha R1s through 2014, a lot of people are using this TAD image, and it's a really good image, and I'll talk more about that later. You also in this window have your images that you've saved, and these are all the images that I've used, and my most recent one is right here. And I'll save, once I make a change to an image, I'll save it to my laptop, and it also saves it out there on their servers, so you always have the images available to you. That's kind of a cool little thing, because you can, if something goes wrong with the last image that you use, you can always go back and download one of your old images. So I wanted you guys to see where the images were and how to access them. So then the next thing is, once you've downloaded the software and you've decided what image you're going to use, down here at the bottom of the left-hand sidebar over here are the ECU settings. And the ECU settings are the specific settings that you can go in and change. So when you send out your ECU to have it flashed, if you're not doing it, and you send it to somebody, they'll go in here to the ECU settings and they will make adjustments based on the criteria you picked when you bought the FlashTuned from whatever website you bought. They'll go in and they can adjust the rev limiter for whatever rev is particular for your bike. They can go in and adjust the fan setting. My particular fan setting turns on at 205 degrees. Stock, I think it turns on at either 217 or 223, and which caused my bike to run real hot. Now I've adjusted it to make it turn on at 205, and it shuts off at 195. This the YCCI variable stacks. Yamaha comes with variable stack switchovers based on RPMs, and you can adjust that. These settings are from the TAD image that I just talked about. Disabling now engine braking. So you know the Yamaha R1 comes with substantial engine braking, and you can reduce that by a couple ways, and this is one of the easiest ways to do it. Is you disable the injector decel cut. And so mine is set to true because I want, when I'm off throttle, I want the injectors to still provide a little bit of fuel, which reduces the engine braking. So this other setting right here, this is the AIS valve. Since I have smog block off plates, I set this to true. If you have smog block off plates, you're going to want to set this to true. Default to A mode, I have this to false because I want mine to set to standard mode, the default to standard mode. Steering damper, for me, I have this set to false. O2 sensor, I have this disabled, set to true, because I'm running off my maps versus any adjustment that the O2 sensor would make. I want it specifically running off the maps. The tip over sensor, I don't want this ever disabled. I want this to, if my bike tips over and it's running, I want my bike to cut off. So some of these other things, extended warm-up idle, I have mine set to false. And then if you change sprockets, you can adjust your sprocket settings and your speedometer settings in that window or that tab. If you have a quick shifter, you can adjust your quick shifter and where it shifts based on the timing mechanism. And then if you have a power commander, a fuel commander, you can import any of those fueling maps right here. I don't have those. You don't necessarily need that if you have access to all of these maps. One of the important items are these four maps right here: throttle position sensor versus the RPM. So when you look at these four maps, this is the map for cylinder 1, and take a look at the colors, the beautiful colors. But if you look at each one of these numbers, represents a percentage of fuel that the cylinder is getting based on RPM. So for example, at 11 in this block, at 12% throttle positioning, because this line up here is the throttle positioning. It goes from 0 all the way up to 100% throttle. And this over here is RPM. So in this particular box right here, at 12% throttle position and 4,000 RPM, the engine, this particular cylinder, is seeing 38% of fuel. And so you can go in and you can adjust each one of these individual cells as you see fit. And I would recommend that when you change these cells, be very, very careful. I say that because if you look at, and I'm going to go to the exact same cell, I'm going to go to the exact same cell on cylinder 2. and you'll notice a difference, a 2% difference. Okay, for each cylinder there is a fueling offset that Yamaha has come up with for the fuel that's being delivered to each one of these cells. I have to believe that with Yamaha's extensive research and development team, they've somehow come up with this fueling offset for each one of the cylinders that allows the engine to run at its most efficient and coolest operating temperatures and power. So if you're going to go in and adjust the throttle position sensor versus the RPM mapping, if you're going to make changes in here, I would recommend that you do it as a whole for all of the cylinders, and you don't change the fueling offset. Because if I go in and I start changing just this map in and around this area, I've now changed the offset and I've done something other than what the Yamaha engineers have designed. So some people say the fueling offset is a result of Yamaha trying to pass EPA standards, while other people believe that it is specifically performance driven and it's about heat and it's about power. And I'd like to believe that it's about heat and it's about power, because I think when you look at the mapping, it would be really easy to have all the cylinders firing the same way and your engine would run really smoothly. But they've chosen not to do that. They've chosen to have a fueling offset, and they've chosen it for a reason. So it's my opinion that that reason is all about performance. So if the point is that if you go in and you change any of these cells within any of these cylinders, just understand that if you're not doing it holistically for all of the cylinders, you could very well be changing the fueling design that Yamaha has originally engineered. So with that out of the way, I want to show you when you send your ECU out. Yamaha, the 2009 through 2014 Yamaha comes with, and I'm going to go up here to the stock images. Okay, and then once again I went up here, I hit file, and then I hit file manager, and this took me to this window. And so now I'm going to go to the stock images. I want you guys to see, and I'm just going to grab my image from my bike, and this is the United States version. And I want you to see when you send out your ECU, the first thing that they do is remove the restrictions on the throttle. So this is the throttle per gear settings, and if you look on this map, you go here and you see right here in this area 76% throttle, 82%, 88, all the way up to 100% throttle. And if you go down here, you can see that at 100% throttle at these RPMs, you're getting actually 100% throttle. But once you eclipse 11,500 mark and you get into 12,000 RPMs, you are no longer getting 100% throttle. So by factory, they've reduced the bike's performance at top RPMs. So the first thing that most everybody does is eliminate this restriction, and thus you end up having a unrestricted throttle, and that is part of this map. These maps here are the unrestricted version of the stock maps, and we can go, let me go back up here and get rid of the stock version, close that down, and we'll go back here. So here is the unrestricted version, and we're going to go to the throttle by wire. We'll go right back to the same maps, standard map. All of these maps down here are exactly the same, but notice here you now have 100% throttle at your higher RPM ranges. When you're on 100% throttle, you are getting 100% throttle. I thought that was an important point, so people understood, you know, when people are talking about, yeah, well, Yamaha comes from the factory with a restricted throttle setting, that's what they're talking about. So to clear that up, I'm going to remove all this, and let's talk about the things that I've done to my image that has made, because I have really had two goals when I bought the bike side harness in conjunction with the FlashTuned software. I wanted to make sure that one, I smoothed out the on-off throttle. The Yamaha R1 has a really touchy throttle, and it's really jumpy, and it takes a really steady wrist to make it smooth. And I don't have a MotoGP wrist, and there's not too many people that do have MotoGP wrists, so this software allows you to smooth that out. And I have the benefit of my brother owning a 2016 Aprilia RSV 4 RF, and I've been able to ride that bike on several occasions, and the throttle on that is just silky smooth. And so I've done the best. I'm still in process of trying to make my throttle as similar to that throttle, and I'm really close. My bike is 100 times different than it was when I first got it. Some of the things that I've done to it are all in these maps right here, all in the standard maps. I haven't done anything with the A mode maps. I've actually incorporated the TAD maps that I showed you up here in the user files. I've actually incorporated these maps as my A throttle maps, but his A throttle maps are even more aggressive than these throttle maps. I'm actually using his standard throttle maps for my A maps, because his bike is really set up to run on the track, and my bike is really set up to run in the streets. I want the smoothest, most enjoyable ride possible. So very rarely, if ever, do I ever ride in this. I'm always riding and adjusting these maps. So how do you make your throttle smoother? Well, most of that is a function of these numbers right in here. You're going to have to make those adjustments as you see fit, based on how crisp you want your throttle the moment you begin to twist your wrist, or how gradual you want it to come on. I chose to have a little more gradual feel, and then it to gradually build up in and around this area, and I really like how it feels right now. And basically all I did was I went in and I made some adjustments, and I flashed it and I went out and wrote it. And then I made some more adjustments, I flashed it and I went out and wrote it. I liked it, I disliked it, I liked it, I disliked it. So, well, how do you make a change? Well, if you click on one of these cells, then you can actually go in and manually type in a number. So that says 3.7. I could type in 4.4 or 44, 4.4, and move it to a different cell, and it kind of adjusts, kind of self smooths it out. So it actually made that number that I typed in 4.5. But that's how you adjust it. And if you link the maps, you can go in here and you can link the maps, and you can choose to link all of these together. So every adjustment that you do will adjust to all the other maps. Let me go and put this back. 3.7. And generally what I do is I make an adjustment to one of the maps, and then I close it, and then you can save. If you go and you copy that map, you can paste it to all of these other maps, and that's how I make the adjustment. I copy it, I make the adjustment to one map, and then I go in and I right click, and then I hit copy, and then once you do that, then you right click on the map that you want to paste it to, and you just hit paste. So that's what I ended up doing when I made all of my adjustments to my standard mode. Now, the other thing that I did was I did make some simple adjustments to my my throttle position versus RPM cylinders per cylinder. What I did was I tried to keep the fueling offset, but at the same time tried to smooth out these numbers, because when you look at the stock maps, there are some really big jumps from, you know, like for example, let's say this number right here would be a 68, and then this number would be a 52. So there's like a 16% fuel change from cell to cell. So what I did is I went through the map, and I'm still not done with all of them, but I went through the maps and I tried to make the differences from cell to cell no greater than 6%. And I'm still going through and trying to fine tune it. At least this way I'm still able to maintain the fueling offset, but it provides for a slightly smoother running engine. So now once you've made all of the changes that you're going to want to make, and you want to finally flash tune, or you want to finally flash your ECU, in my specific circumstances, I have to take my laptop down to my bike, which is in the garage, hook it up to the bike side harness, and then once you've hooked it up to the bike side harness, so you go up here to devices, and right now what it shows is error, no device found, right? So when you turn on your PC and you turn on the software, the first thing it does is it looks for the device. And then what it'll happen, once everything is plugged up and your software is ready to rock and roll, this will still say error, no device. I believe that's what it does. You'll have to turn on the key on your bike. You don't have to start your bike, but you turn the key on, and then it will recognize your device. And then all you do is you hit this, which is grayed out right now. It won't be grayed out when the power of your bike is turned on, when the key is turned on. Then all you do is you hit this button right here, and it will go through the process of reading the ECU and writing your new image to the ECU. And then once it's done, it will tell you it's done, and you can turn off the key on your bike and unplug everything, and you should be ready to go. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I know it's been kind of a long video. If you liked it, hit like. If you have some questions that I didn't answer, please write them in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer any and all the questions that you have. All right, have a blessed day, and hopefully I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye bye.